touch the light, the heat I see in your eyes, in your eyes, in your eyes, in your eyes.
So the weird thing is I never got a chance to ask if they knew.
Yeah. You know, I think there's two questions that come out of this, or points. One is the whole question about your parents, and did they know something? We'll never know. Unfortunately, they've both passed. And a lot of other people who come out do get to know where their parents are about it. Some are very well supported and others are disowned. So,
All right.
but one of the things that stands out to me most is it feels like that is the point in the book. You talk about that little girl. It feels like that's the first time you really acknowledged her, the her that is you, and appreciated her. It was actually kind of cool the way you described it, and she wasn't going to be denied. That was a strong will. I don't know, it strikes me. It feels like it's really the first time, and then I guess you spent years and years and years after that trying to keep her contained. But
locking her in a freaking dungeon. Yeah. I think that's the part that people have a hard time understanding about the experience, and I think that's also why there's so much confusion about it. Is that because we have to go through a layer of questioning, and everybody else, it seems, well, that's not fair. I was going to play a victim card and say that we have to do this, nobody else has to do it. But in this particular subject matter, this is something that I had to get you to kind of wrap your head around, was I had to constantly, every day, every moment, use my brain like a muscle to contain the truth and still figure out a way to get out of this life alive and happy and successful at something. All the while knowing that I was keeping that little girl locked away in a dungeon away from the light.
Well, do you really want to say all the while knowing? Because what I think is something that I've gotten from you and other people too, it is the extra complication of maybe not knowing what it was, or not always knowing. I mean, maybe you had those feelings, you had those thoughts. Maybe there were times you felt sure, but it also seemed like part of it was wrapped up in searching for, can this really be what I'm feeling?
No, I mean, well, okay, yes. When I first tried to explain this to you, those were the words I used. What I've come to realize is that all of the survival mechanisms that I had to use in order to continue to get out of bed in the morning comes from the land of denial. So, yes, you know that you're hiding from yourself, and one of the ways to hide from yourself is to push it further and further into your psyche and try to believe this new truth about you, which, trust me, there's a lot of evidence. You have a body that has the wrong parts, and so you go, well, okay, that must mean thus and so. And there's nothing in our culture, there's nothing in our society that supports that. So you have to go at it alone, and you are alone. and you can't tell anybody
Mm-hmm.
that you're going through it. So you don't have any kind of, you don't have the things that, I tease that you have, your mother tells you as a girl how to become a woman, even if it's subtly, even if there's different signals that you get.
My mother told me how to be a guy.
Your mom told you how to throw like a boy, so you
and drive.
and
Yeah,
drive
that was
like a
just
guy.
it. But she also just, did
But your
not.
mom was a woman.
Yeah, but she was a man's woman. A woman's. She was. Yeah, she played in the
Force of nature.
She was a strong woman because she played in the men's world, and she did not care. She used her feminine wiles when they were valuable, but she was just as quick to jump in a sports car and beat everybody on the racetrack or whatever it was in the men's race. But
Yeah.
I don't want to get off on that now. That's a whole nother subject. And it got us in trouble a little while ago. So
This is an edited version. You
Yeah.
can see the part that we're not going to put up.
we may get back to it. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, that's a sidebar. But I can't, I mean, certainly there are things that happen to young people. I think what I'd like to do in general is kind of look for connection points rather than the difference, because I can't imagine what it would be like for you to go through what you went through, and to, especially like you said, see the evidence of your body, but know that that's wrong. I'm sure. I think that's why a lot of people, quote unquote, will even say, "I don't get it," because they don't
get it. They don't get
and
it.
it's hard to get. But it does remind me that there are so many secrets that we keep. And this is not to belittle yours in any way, but where there is a common ground, or maybe a place where we can be even helpful to other people, is that it's not reserved just to that topic. I think of the kids who, cut themselves, or who are bulimic, or do anything that's self-destructive in some way or another, and they're in the same position. They can't tell anybody, and they're constantly trying to hide it, trying to hide their body and the evidence of it. I touched on enough of those things. I could never stand throwing up. But, when I was in boarding school and I wanted to lose weight, we all did the old X-lax approach, really stupid stuff. Or like, I never got into cutting myself, but, it's just those kinds of secrets, and wherever they arise from, the result is the same, that people can end up really feeling lonely. There are so many suicides in teenagers and young people.
But before we fall off into Maudlinville, which is quite easy to do, and we do want to give serious acknowledgement to that, because that's the consequence of not having a you.
A me?
A you.
A me.
You were the first person that I could tell.
Yeah, I wasn't that great about receiving.
That's okay. I mean, there was something inside of me that said, as crazy as all this is, the one thing I was the most afraid of, it changed, but the thing I was most afraid of was not losing you. It was hurting you.